This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Hing.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Throughout the nation and around the globe, from his heart to yours, it's Dear James Live on the radio, here on the Contact Talk Radio Network, bringing you intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dear James Live. Express yourself, tell it like it is, and then hear what Dear James has to say. Today's topic is passion and purpose, and it is an incredibly joyful topic and yet one of the most serious topics, because in order for life to really have purpose, you must live your purpose, you must live your passion, and more importantly, you must participate. And so perhaps this show really should have been called Express Yourself, the 3 Ps: purpose, passion, and participation. This is an all live call-in show, as you know. The toll-free number to call in and express yourself is 877-230-3062. As I say, the call is free. The intuitive insight, answers, and advice, priceless. So express yourself, passion and purpose. I want to go right to my first caller, Michelle from Kentucky. Good morning, Michelle. How are you?
Well, hello. I'm doing okay.
Well, good. What's happening?
Oh, there's a lot of up-in-the-air stuff with family and everything. And how are you doing?
You know, I am doing really well. Things have been cooking along, I would say. So I'm enjoying life and expressing my purpose and my passion by participating.
Right. Well, we've got to have happiness and find a smile every day and be thankful for the blessings we've got.
Indeed.
Even when we're scared of what might be, you can't let that slow you down.
Absolutely. And never, I would say to you right off the bat, never be scared. I know that happens in life and we all face that, but when we move past our fears or through them,
the only way out is through, right?
That is exactly right. And many, many, many great things happen when we just face our fears and move through them. So, because, I want to say this to you before you tell me what's going on. I always say fear is success in disguise, because when you really think about fear is your friend. Fear is always that one part of you that's kind of pushing you forward. Because when you notice, it's like it's fear that kind of really propels people forward. It'll either isolate you and hold you, or it's that nudge, it's that push. And
right.
So I always say fear is your friend. So look at fear as a friend. And it's, sometimes it's a gentle helping hand. Sometimes it's a good shove from the back. but, whatever form it takes, it's there to help you. It's there to propel you forward. So, but go ahead. Tell me what's going on, Michelle. What's happening?
I'm just really uncertain about my future. I'm on disability, and right now I'm living with my daughter and her husband, but I can, and I would rather go out on my own. My granddaughter and I are both wanting to get back to the homestead, but there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of tensions in the air, and I don't know if they're going to make it as a couple. I don't know what's going to happen to my granddaughter and I. I mean, I'm on it for the ride. I'm going to have to go whichever way the river flows. But I'd like to have a little insight on to how to handle gracefully.
Okay.
What's going to be coming up, and if my fears are true, that their marriage is ending, and everybody's going to be like blown out of the water.
Well, let me tell you, one of the big things, there's a lot of, right off the bat, there's a lot of mistrust going on. That was the word that popped out immediately, is that there's a lot of mistrust, and there's something else strictly pertaining to you, is you have you've been the glue. You've always been the fixer, the doer.
Yes. I always come in and clean up the messes. And
exactly.
That's what I do.
Well, okay, but here's the lesson in this, because what they're really saying to you as part of, we all play a role, and we all have our, you've got your family unit and everything, and you've got what you're used to doing. And
right.
What you need to see in this is sometimes being the glue is it's noble and it's honorable. And many times it's that. But sometimes you have to let life happen. We enable people, or we can get in the way of people's growth, and we can actually hinder our own if we stay fixed in the place in the role that we understand. Let me put it that way.
Right. I know what you're saying.
Right. So you've always been the glue, the fixer, the doer, it's kind of like the what is it, the old the baker, the candlestick maker. That's what's popping into my head is that, that kind of Beauty and the Beast type thing. But
wear many hats, yeah.
Yes, you're wearing many hats, and so in this, you can't save everything and everyone, and that's never really your purpose. And so when you step back and realize that they entered this marriage, I'm going to give this, the way I get it. They entered this marriage for all the wrong reasons.
Yes, they did.
And that is now playing out. Was there a pregnancy that came along with this? Okay. So,
yes.
Right. So they kind of did what young people do.
Yeah.
And in that kind of thing, everybody kind of says, okay, now we got to do, quote unquote, the right thing.
I advised against it from the get-go. I said this is not necessary, but
right, and
they felt it was.
Right, and in that, there's all of that stuff about, there's so much that society places upon people, and certainly young people, and so that was all playing into it. So they got married for all the wrong reasons because of circumstances, as we've just stated, and now this is going to play out, and your wisdom at the forefront will be their hindsight later. It will be their. It won't be their "I told you so," because that's important.
Oh no, I don't do that.
No, but I'm just saying for them, they'll come to understand. What she was telling us was, because ultimately what you were telling them is, I'll love you regardless.
Right.
And sometimes when people, when people come together and they have a pregnancy and they think, okay, now we have to get married and do the honorable right thing and everything, they're doing it because they don't believe, they believe that they're going to be judged, or they believe that there's going to be anxiety surrounding single parenting, or, unwed parenting, if you will. And all of those things weigh very heavily on the soul.
Right.
And so they make choices, and instead of probably really listening to, and I think, let me say this with your specific case, I think there was a little bit of, or a lot of, and I'm getting this on your daughter's part, that, I can make this work. Like, this has been a very combative relationship.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of, and so there's so many lessons that are playing out here. It was combative and premature and all of these things. And, this isn't, first of all, it's not a mistake, but second of all, it's not your mistake to fix.
Right.
You see what I mean? And so you're gonna have to stand back and let them learn, let them grow.
Right.
Let them experience life. Because
that's why we're here, yes.
their growth. Your daughter's growth is really what they're telling me. You don't want to hinder her growth. She needs
but
to.
I see it. She saw me make it work for 32 years. And now she feels like she has to. It's what I think, and I don't want to think like that because I want her to be free to be her own self and not follow the path I took. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it absolutely, because in certain ways you are mirroring one another.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
she can go so much farther and do so much more.
Right, but be very cautious here, Michelle, to not place your and we today, and it can be about any topic, as I always say about express yourself. It can be about any topic, but in purpose and passion, don't make your purpose and senses of your beliefs, your purposes in life, hers.
That's what I'm trying not to do.
Right, because that's huge. That will add, if anything, that adds a defiant layer to this, to where she might kind of willfully extract herself from this situation and the lessons on her own. But if she feels like you're attempting to tell her she can do better, which is, it's a positive, you're wanting something positive for her, but what she's going to hear is something negative, that she's failing.
That she's not good enough.
Right, that she's somehow, by doing what you want her to do, she's failing. Mm-hmm. So your quietness sometimes, your breath of giving her breath, which is room, space, that will allow her to come to her own decisions.
Yes.
And that way, that's a win-win for everybody.
Yes.
Because, truthfully, you want her out of this marriage.
I didn't want her to go into it. I'll be honest. I says, y'all can be friends. The baby will have two loving parents living their life. That's the type of speech I gave to her. You don't have to do this. Don't rush into anything. And then, they did. So then I said, well, I'm happy for you. This is what you want. And thankfully, I don't have to live with him and put up with him. But then they got into financial difficulties, and I was on disability, and I need people to give me transportation. So we decided, well, we could move in together. And I was like, well, yeah, I don't want to, but they needed a babysitter and, all that stuff. And so it was supposed to be a win-win where we help each other out and we all have our own space, but it's not been like that the last 3 years, last 2 years. Yeah, no, not at all. And in fact, it's, that's, you need to extract yourself from this arrangement. I was wondering about that. Yes. I've been thinking, but then I also don't want to let them down. But I got to think of my health, too, and this is killing me. Honestly, it's killing me. Yeah, I mean, I've had health issues from it, including... yeah. Well, it's a very stressful... It's a very stressful environment. It's a very, it's not... Nothing here is... everyone's doing a disservice to each other. Because everyone's playing, it's like a play that's going on. Exactly. And everybody is wearing a facade. And, there's no love lost. I'm going to be very frank and direct. There's no love lost between you and him. No. There's. I'm not mean to him. No. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is if you were to genuinely say, would you like this person in your life? Your answer would be no. It would be a very firm no, yes. Right. So that energy, because it's authentic, it's your authentic energy, that's palpable. It's part of the dynamic. And so all of these things, and he's looking at it going, well, if she wasn't really here, we'd probably be okay. So it's really everybody else's fault because he blames everybody else. He always has. Right. It's everybody else's fault. He's blaming everybody.
And your daughter is kind of sitting there in the middle of it. In the beginning, she was kind of saying to you, Mama, you don't know everything. You don't know everything. You know, like, you don't know everything.
Right.
And that's typical of youth.
Yeah.
But, you know, and she's coming into, you know, she's sitting, I guess the point I'm trying to really make to you is by you staying there, you elongate the inevitable because you leave her in a position between, you know, it's a rock, between a rock and a hard place. You leave her in that position of, well, is everything the way it is because you all don't really care for each other and you know, and this is the way it is? Or is it really that you're just not what I was meant to do? And I'm meant to move on. And so I would say for everyone's benefit, you move on first.
Yes.
Get on out of there, as I would say. Get on out of there.
Oh, I have been thinking so hard on doing that, but then I think, well, the grandbaby's my daughter. You know. No. Rest assured, sometimes it's really tough, Michelle. Sometimes it is brutally tough because you love your children and you love your grandbabies and it's love. Yes. But sometimes you have to realize that by choosing right by you first, you allow others to choose right by themselves. It would make me so happy to move on, but then I'm afraid he's going to hurt him.
Well, if that's an element, you know, if there is any type of physical concern and worry there, then again,
I still need to move on.
You still have to move on because you can't, when I say this, you can't stop the inevitable. Right. The inevitable may, and I, you know.
You can postpone it a little bit, but you can never stop it.
Right. I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but what I am saying is it may take, because this is your daughter's path, you know, your path is your path, her path is her path. Right. It may take a very unpleasant altercation like that for her to finally say, I must extract myself. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but what I'm saying is...
Right, but if that's what it takes, that's what she needs.
That's, you know...
And my being here, stopping it's just prolonging the inevitable.
Right, and it's adding layers to things that... it adds another subset of layers. So it may keep him in check, so to speak, but it also keeps her from making very wise and informed decisions on her own.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm getting at. And thereby, you know, maybe it's not as bad as it will be or would be because you're there, and that then prevents her from really extracting herself from it because, well, it's bad, but it's not that bad. Right. Well, when it's that bad, she'll move to act, and what I'm getting is that she'll move to act very quickly. But,
right, because she'll be protecting her babies. Exactly.
And she'll see him for the man that he is. There was a lot of youthful indiscretion in this relationship. There was a lot of codependency in this relationship in the beginning.
On both parts.
Right. Yes. Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. And the interesting thing is as this relationship has gone on, she has become more and more and more in tune, in alignment with herself.
Yes,
she's growing. She's growing quite quickly.
Really in the last year, yes.
Yeah, and he's pretty much where he always was.
And where he plans to be. Because he's comfortable being like that.
Right. Everything about him is about control and about oppression, control, dominion over others, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And
it's never his fault because he's perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, so I would say to you, we're going to talk, we're going to do a free 30-minute consultation. So that. And Barb, my producer, will take your information and I'll reach out to you after the show. But the biggest thing between now and when we talk again is make no excuses for yourself. Okay, Michelle?
I try not to.
Well, I'm just saying to you, you need to move. You need to move sooner than later. And just no excuses. If you say, I don't know how I'm going to do that, just whatever belief or faith system you have, if that's the good Lord, you say, Lord, point me in the right direction. Point me in the right direction.
The financial part of it's the only thing that has kept me hesitant. Well,
and when again, and that's fear, right? As we said at the beginning. Yeah. So if you alleviate,
I think it'll work out if I focus on it a little bit more and quit wishy-washing.
Indeed, put the word out. I'm looking to move. Does anybody have any place? Does what's out there? What's available? Right. Just start putting the word out, and you'll be surprised at how the universe steps in and says, "Okay, now she's on. She's put her car into drive. We're gonna give her the gas to get there."
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And deep down, I knew that. It was just
yes.
Inside, I really did know that you have to put it out there and know that it's going to come because the universe knows the best path for you to take. But then I keep holding back because I don't want to see these three get hurt physically or whatever,
Right. No, you're going to.
And so I draw back and think, well, wait a minute, but I can't wait any longer.
No. Time to go. Time to put the plan into action, and everything else will fall into place. I promise you that. I know that we'll create a plan for you. I'll give you some additional insight and everything on what you need to do and to move everybody forward, and especially yourself. All right?
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
All right. So stay on the line and Barb will take your information, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. Have a beautiful day.
You too. Bless you.
Bless you. Thank you. You're listening to Dear James Live. Express yourself here on the Contact Talk Radio Network. Today's topic is passion and purpose. We'll be right back after this station break.
The desire to be more consciously enlightened is innate. Do you feel there's more to life? If so, find the resource that's right for you by going to DearJames.com/resources. You are the reality you create. Make it a great one. When you ask a question, the universe hears you, and in a multitude of ways, they seek to communicate with you to provide the intuitive insight, answers, and advice you seek. From serious to silly, monumental to mundane, there's nothing the universe can't cover. Maybe the insight you receive is exactly the affirmation you were looking for. Then again, it may just give you a whole new perspective on things. And that's the beauty of the universe. Submit your question to Dear James at DearJames.com and click Ask.
The gift of giving is immeasurable. Give of your time, talent, resources, and money. Give not only because you can, but because by doing so, it is already coming back to you. As a people, we are only as strong as the least among us. Together, we harness the power of the collective whole and see through our deeds the power of miracles, both large and small. Find the charity that's right for you by visiting www.dearjames.com and click on Charitable Giving. One person or kind act really does make the difference.
And then hear what Dear James has to say, passion and purpose. And again, I want to remind you, as I always do, have the courage to call in live. It is liberating. It can be anonymous. You don't have to worry. Don't wait to the last 5 minutes, because there's never enough time then when you call in at the last 5 minutes. So if you've been listening to the show and you're thinking about calling in, pick up the phone, call in, and let's have a chat. You're always safe, and it's always wisdom from the universe coming to help you. So the toll-free number is 877-230-3062. And like Michelle was just speaking before the break, I was speaking with Michelle from Kentucky. And, the interesting thing about purpose and passion and participation in life is purpose is misunderstood. Many, many, many times people feel like their purpose is elusive. Like, what's my life purpose? And I don't know how to find it. I don't know what it is. And what I want to remind all of my listeners of is that purpose is not a label or a destination. It's not something you wear. It's not something you strive for. Purpose is all about your soul constantly evolving and experiencing itself. You are going to have many, 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 many life purposes throughout your life. It's I always say you're going to have multiple incarnations within the same incarnation. And when you start to realize that your purpose in life is to be, your true purpose is simply to be. So purpose is foundational. It is life force. And when you start experiencing your purpose in every moment of every day, because it's going to change, literally within the day. And I'm going to take working women. Take an example of working women. Their purpose is wife, mother, potentially career woman as well, if she's working outside of the home, management of the home, management of the schooling, the education. There's so many hats, if you would like to call them that, that this one singular woman wears, in addition to being a woman. Those are all points of expression. They're all points of purpose. And when you start realizing or settling into, if I can say it that way, when you start settling into understanding that your purpose isn't some elusive trophy goal that's out there and I got to find my purpose. I can't find it. Where did I misplace it? I don't know who I am. Well, you've misplaced your purpose because you think it's something outside of yourself. You think that it's, again, this trophy prize, this elusive trophy prize. But when you realize and you start settling into, my purpose is every single act I take in a day. My purpose is to marry that with passion. From the simplicity of washing the dishes or reading a book to being at a PTA meeting or being in the boardroom or leading a group in a Bible study or whatever it might be. That's your purpose at that given moment, because your purpose is self-expression. And to marry passion with purpose means to ignite it. It's like to set it on fire. You do it with passion. You do it with, I often say that passion is the freeing of the soul to express itself fully. So when you engage passion with purpose, you're freeing your soul to express itself fully. Those are very unique elements, but they mean nothing if you don't marry them with yet another element, which is participation. Participation is the necessary ingredient that places your purpose and your passion into action. It's a very interesting thing. I'll use an analogy that if you can visualize somebody couch surfing, and you know what I mean, we're all sitting on the TV, flipping the channels with the remote and kind of vegging out, if you will. And then there's another person that's sitting on a sofa doing mindful meditation. Both of those scenarios slow the action of the body and mind. But one of them is far, far better for you than the other. So participation can be, when we talk about it being actionary, immediately people think, well, if I'm participating, I mean to be in action, in aggressively in action or moving. I should use the word assertively. But the point that I'm making is sometimes your participation can be something that slows the action of the body and the mind. And that type of participation, if it's from a meditation, if it's from a stillness with yourself, so that you can actually hear your soul speaking to you, that is profound participation, because you're then willfully engaging your soul. You're willfully engaging your participation, and your purpose in that moment is to see yourself, to feel yourself, to discover yourself. So those are very important elements. Oprah Winfrey says that passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you. And she has it right. Passion is energy. And when you engage that passion, and again, it can be from the simplest thing. It can be from, taking the trash out. If you're engaging your passion when you take the trash out and you're not in your head, if you're looking around and you're seeing what's the beauty that's around you, you'll forget about the sack of trash that's in your hand, because you'll be passionately taking the trash out to the curb, because you're going to want to see the world outside of you. You're going to want to see the beauty that's in front of you. It's an interesting, I'm always about definitions, as you all know. I use them often, and I love to use quotes because I think that they set a tone and an example for us. And purpose is the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. For the human soul, it's the entire reason you exist is your purpose. And again, it's not elusive. It is not outside of you. It is not something that you're having to run and find. It's something that exists within you. It's your soul. It's already there. So if you slow yourself down and you start looking and asking internally, what's my purpose? You might get the answer back to get the kids to school on time. Now, that seems pretty simple, right? I mean, it seems, that's a chore. That's a chore. That's not my purpose. But it is your purpose. It's your purpose to be willfully engaged, to be fully conscious and present with your children, to have that experience of taking them to school. What are the joys? What are the things that are going to happen? What are the discussions that you're going to have on that walk or that car ride or that bus ride to school with your children? That is your purpose. When you start multiplying or building upon the awareness that that is truly your purpose, that each one of those life events, each one of those moments that are happening each day is your purpose, you'll come more and more into alignment with, let's call them greater purposes. Because then you'll have given yourself permission. You won't be operating from a place of lack, trying to find the purpose. you'll understand that you are the purpose. The purpose is to be. And that is incredibly empowering. It's transformative. You're listening to Dear James Live. Express yourself, tell it like it is, and then hear what Dear James has to say here on the Contact Talk Radio Network. We are taking your calls live, as I said, so express yourself. Have the courage to call in. Toll-free number is 877-230-3062. We're going to go to a quick station break, and then we'll be back after these messages. Thank you.
Available for private, individual, group, and corporate consultations, Dear James will provide you with the intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions. Schedule your consultation by going to www.dearjames.com and click on Consultation. The gift of giving is immeasurable. Give of your time, talent, resources, and money. Give not only because you can, but because by doing so, it is already coming back to you. As a people, we are only as strong as the least among us. Together, we harness the power of the collective whole and see through our deeds the power of miracles, both large and small. Find the charity that's right for you by visiting www.dearjames.com and click on Charitable Giving. One person or kind act really does make the difference.
When you ask a question, the universe hears you, and in a multitude of ways, they communicate to you the intuitive insight, answers, and advice you seek. Ask Dear James a question and experience the magic of the universe. Visit DearJames.com and click Ask.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dear James Live. Express yourself, tell it like it is, and then hear what Dear James has to say. Today is all about passion, purpose, participation. And during the break, my producer, Barb, said, ooh, I have a question for you. So hello, Barb. How are you?
Hi there.
Can't wait. And she says, I'm not going to tell you what the question is. I said, okay, that's good. Okay, so what's going?
Yeah, and it always has something to do with what we talk about during the break. I was wondering, okay, the only reason I say this is just because I've had a couple of people that have come to me and have asked about certain other people. I have a friend, and she was talking about her daughter, and she had said, she goes, I don't know. She goes, I don't know if it's her. I'm like, do you think this, just because she's having, she's at that young age, she's having issues and all that kind of stuff. She goes, no, I think something's attached to her. And I go, oh, interesting. And I started thinking about it, and I was talking with a couple of other friends, too, and I was like, wow. Oh, it really started in like 2009. And I never ever think that, somebody is either attached to me or any of those type of things and stuff like that. But then I was thinking, maybe I do have something attached to me. So I don't know. I don't know if you see, interestingly enough, years ago, it must be like 3 or 4 years ago, I had a friend tell me that an ex-boyfriend was attached to me. He had passed away. And I was like, really? I go, that was when I was young. It's not like I haven't thought of him, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why would he be hanging around me of all people, and stuff like that. And I said, well, that's interesting. Interesting enough, I go back to the timeline. He passed away literally 2 months before things started happening in my life. So I don't know. Right. Is it him? Is it somebody else? A traveler I picked up on the way? Or is it just, am I just crazy?
Was it the Vagabond on I-5 or was it? No.
Right.
No, you're raising a very interesting question and topic, which is all about discarnate souls or beings, if you will.
Just kind of hitchhiking.
Hitchhiking or, for lack of better words, being around. And certainly with children. Well, and this is very interesting because it can take as there are always two sides to a coin. There's positive energy, negative energy.
Right.
And energy can stay not only with people, but with places, buildings, things of that nature. Everything is energy. Everything we have. So to answer your direct question, and it's funny because I have a two-part answer for you. One is with you, I don't have any feeling. I'll give it to you this way, Barb. I'm flatlining over here. I don't feel like there's.
Well, that's interesting that you say that too, because after I had that conversation that night, and I was a little bit freaked out to kind of say it, I was like, Shane, if you're hanging around, I need you to go. I need you to go to light, do whatever you do. You need to quit hanging around, blah, 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 blah. And literally, like, things kind of, within 24 hours, flow in a different area of my life, opened up like a craziness. That was like, and I was like, oh, maybe he was hanging around. I don't know.
Well, and could have been but at the moment, what I feel is,
nobody.
It's funny when I said flatlining, it's like on that particular question, I have it's a flat line. I'm seeing just literally the heart monitor thing, and it's flat.
Mm-hmm.
And then they say, with the exception of us, and they're like, her guides, her
all my unseen friends. Yeah,
right, exactly. So in other words, you're guiding what would always be with each soul, their guiding compass, their guiding source, their protection, and all of that. That is with you.
Okay, good.
But is someone hitching a ride? No.
Good.
With your friend's daughter, yes.
Right.
And the interesting thing is, and I would say that if she asked her daughter to kind of, if she engaged her in discussion about, does she feel like someone's hanging around? Does she feel like, because I get that she's engaging in conversation. And is her daughter like right at the teenage years?
Right there. Yes? She's 12.
Okay, so she's right coming into it and everything.
Right.
So, because what I'm getting is that she's kind of having this, and I mean this in a very non-sexual way. She's having her foreplay moment. Meaning, is this a positive or is this a negative energy?
Oh, interesting.
And thereby, she needs to engage her in this discussion about these conversations and so forth. And because it's one thing to have a positive energy hanging around.
Right.
It's a whole other bag if she's engaging a negative energy.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want that.
Right. Because my first question, I guess when she was very, very young, they were in the bathroom, and my friend had her back to what her daughter was looking at, and she's like, "Who's that boy?" And mind you, she's like 2 or 3 years old. "Who's that boy?" And then my friend said she was too freaked out. She couldn't look or turn around. She was like, what's going on? And my first question, as soon as she said that, I go, "Do you think it's the boy?" And she goes, "Maybe."
Yeah, it's a very interesting because I and it's funny. This is why I'm using these terms like, when innocent foreplay, and there is this thing of, and I'm trying to articulate this, but is this a puppy love play thing?
Right. Well, I don't think she'd be. Yeah, I don't think she'd be, because she's not the type of person that would be conscious or talking to to whatever it is type of a thing. She would more be like, and freaked out by it. I think it's more of an influence type of a thing.
Are you saying the mom, or are you saying the daughter?
No, the daughter. The daughter would be like, right.
Yeah, because she.
I mean, that's kind of the thing that's been developing. All of a sudden, it's just kind of. that type of a thing. But she's kind of always had it since she was young. So I'm like, do you think it's behavioral and all this stuff? And she's like, no, I think it's something else.
No, she has the daughter has heightened connectivity.
Right.
So, or receptivity, whichever you'd like to. She has that. Whether she looks, say this, whether she looks normal on the outside.
Right.
Okay. She's normal, preteen, teen coming into all that.
Mm-hmm.
She has very, very strong receptivity, connectivity.
Yeah. All the girls do. There's 3 of them.
Right. Well, yeah. But this one, yeah. So this one in particular, and she's very much in her head, in her mind, engaging with this energy.
Right. Interesting.
And thereby, and thereby, mom needs to maybe not be so afraid.
Well, that was just that one time.
Where are you? Where's the boy?
She's like, I ain't looking.
What mother hasn't uttered those words when they have 3 daughters? I mean, hello, where's the boy hiding? Where is he? And
True.
The goes and everything else. But ultimately, energy like that is it's very prevalent, and and she really wants to someone, and if it's not going to be the mom, then perhaps with you and influencers or whatever, someone needs to talk to her and say, be mindful,
right,
of your engagements,
of what's going on,
right? Because she's what I'm seeing is this, we dibble dabble.
Right.
And that can become dangerous. That can become very dangerous because then if she's highly receptive, a less than good energy can attach
right,
and can engage.
Yeah. I don't see her, playing with tarot cards or Ouija boards or anything like that. Just not. That would freak her out. She does freak out at certain things, but I think it's because all those girls are very receptive, like to the houses that they live in and all of those type of things. Right. So,
yeah, but mom. Okay, but you were just talking about mom, right?
Right.
Your friend. Yeah, you guys are going to need to have a glass or a bottle of wine.
Okay.
And have her
I go, there's some clearing stuff I can do, but let me do my research,
Right.
And stuff like that. I go, let me know if you need to bring the big guns in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's more just her getting comfortable with talking to them.
Right.
Because she's dialed in. She's feeling it. She feels it.
Right.
She sees it. So she's just
right, because that was the first thing she said when I was like, do you think it's mental? And she's like, nope, not at all.
She knows.
Right.
So it's just her getting comfortable with being able to discuss this with this particular daughter or her daughters in general, because the more comfortable the more normal, let me put it that way, the more normal she makes these discussions with her children,
right,
the easier, the better it's going to be for them to actually converse, for them to, okay, I don't have to keep it in my head, I can talk to you about it.
Right.
And that, tying into the whole topic of the show, is her purpose. Your friend's purpose is to guide them through this.
Oh.
And she's somewhat, pushing back on her purpose. I mean, these are one of her, we all wear many hats, many purposes, as I was saying in the show. But this is a big one for her. This is a big life purpose for your friend to be there to guide. And right now she's going, I don't want to see the boy. I want to tell you, no, I'm going to freak out. All those things. And that's problematic. Your friend should call me.
Well, I may be doing that.
You're like, hold on, I'm going to patch her in right
now.
Right,
exactly. Hey, can you take a break for a second?
Oh, we need to have a talk. Yes, your friend and I need to have a talk.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you. All right. So when we're exercising passion and purpose, it's all about participation. It's about, like I was just speaking with Barb, it's about her friend realizing that her purpose is to guide these souls and to open up communication and discussion. When we look at the definition of passion, it's any powerful or compelling emotion or feeling. And that's what makes passion. It's powerful, it's compelling, it's emotion. Harness that passion for good purpose. You always want to utilize it for good. We are all beings of energy. We are all souls who have a body, not bodies who have a soul. And therefore, you want to be mindful. You want to be consciously aware of what your purposes are in life. They are plural, purposes. You don't have a singular purpose. You have multiple purposes, and they are going to occur and change and evolve. They are fluid. They are not fixed. They're not rigid. They're not dull. Passion is juicy. It's flavorful. It's exciting. It's fluid. That's passion. So look in all of these elements, bring them in and see the 3 Ps, as I called them at the beginning, at the top of the hour, the 3 Ps: purpose, passion, participation. Start utilizing them and seeing them in your everyday actions. Participation. Absent participation, your life is void. And when you think about the fact, what happens when I've lost my purpose or I don't have any passion, you stop participating. You disengage from life. You disengage from your relationships. You disengage from your marriage. You flatline. And that means that you're absent the participation. So the 3 walk hand in hand. They are intertwined. It's a fabric. It's a constant moving fluid fabric. And it can be incredibly abundant and juicy and rich, or it can be rigid and flat and void and dull and hard, flatlining. You choose. When you choose positive participation, when you choose conscious purpose, conscious awareness of your purpose, and you marry that with passion, with this heightened sense of energy, this life element, you hum. You will literally vibrate at a higher octave. And that's the key. That's the goal, if you will. The goal isn't some distant trophy. It's right inside of you. It's there every moment of every day. And that's the point of this show today, was passion and purpose. Live your passion, live your purpose, participate in your life, be consciously aware, and you'll find the beauty in the simplest act, because the simplest act is that you are being. You're present and you're being. So I thank you so much, everybody, for listening to today's show, and for both Barb and for Michelle calling in from Kentucky. And again, express yourself. It's every Wednesday. It's a live call-in show. You don't have to be on topic. It can be just that you're seeking intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions. That's what Dear James is. And the show is always about you. So again, next week, we will have Express Yourself, Lie in Wait. And that's going to be an interesting topic. And coming up on the 4th of September for Dear James Dear James Live on the radio, I'm going to have the profound honor and privilege to introduce all of you and have Chris Griscombe, who is the founder of the Light Institute, and she will be my guest for an hour-long discussion about Najoni and the principles behind Najoni, the higher self in education, and the actual incredible multi-incarnational work that they do at the Light Institute in Galisteo, New Mexico. So by all means, please tune in. I look forward to seeing you all next week. And as I always do, I'll close with, no matter where you are or whom you're with or what you're doing, wrap yourself in goodness. You've been listening to Dear James Live. Express yourself, tell it like it is, and then hear what Dear James has to say here on the Contact Talk Radio Network. Carol Rittberger is up next.
You've been listening to Dear James Live on the radio with your host, Dear James. Gain intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions, and so much more by tuning in next week and visiting DearJames.com.